Xander, what'd you bark at? What you barking at? Welcome back to Every Disney Movie Hour. My name is Jess and I'm watching Every Disney Movie Hour. Today I'm going to talk about The Little Riders. The Little Riders is a 1996 television release. It's directed by Kevin Connor, cinematography by Willy Kurant, editing by Barry Peters, music by Lee Holdridge, and it's written by Gerald DePago. I've covered everybody except Willy Kurant in previous videos. They will be listed and linked in the description. Willy Kurant is best known for Under the Son of Satan, Pootie Tang, French Intrigue, and Masculine Feminine. It is based off a book of the same name by Margarita Shemin. I'm so sorry. I'm really sorry. And I couldn't find a point-by-point plot synopsis, so I won't be able to do the whole comparison, but the only thing I could find was that it's about a Dutch-American girl who visits her grandparents in the Netherlands while their town is occupied by Nazis, and she must protect the town square statues from the Nazis. Hey, it's Editing Jess, and I just wanted to let you guys know that I've been dealing with a lot of copyright issues for this video because I had footage of the film, and so I've had to like kind of makeshift screenshots together, and if I just keep having a lot of copyright issues, it's probably gonna be like very few screenshots, and for that I'm sorry. The film stars Noley, Thornton, Paul Scofield, Rosemary Harris, and Benedick Blythe. Noley Thornton plays Joanne Hunter, and she's best known for Heidi, Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Beverly Hills 90210, and Quantum Leap. Paul Scofield plays Grandpa and is best known for A Man for All Seasons, The Crucible, Quiz Show, and Henry V. Rosemary Harris plays Grandma, and she's best known for the Spider-Man trilogy and Before the Devil Knows You're Dead. Benedick Blythe plays Lieutenant Braun and is best known for 7 Years in Tibet, The Endless Game, Merlin of the Crystal Cave, and The Knock. So this film reminds me of Miracle of the White Stallions, which is one of my more popular videos, and people are mad at me because I was kind of cruel to that film, and I think that this might be my redeeming factor for Miracle of the White Stallions because I feel like they are very similar. Granted, in Miracle of the White Stallions, they're trying to save hundreds of real horses, and this one they're just saving 6 statues from underneath a clock, but it really gave me the same vibes where there's the symbolic thing that represents, in this case, a town, but in that case, a country, and they're trying to save it from being destroyed or acquiesced by the Nazis, because in Miracle of the White Stallions, they want the horses, from what I remember, and because it was a long time ago now at this point, and in this one, they want to take the statues and melt down the lead to use for German weapons, and that whole town in Holland is very attached to the statues because they've been there for 300 years. And in the town, it's like when the little riders ride at, like noon and midnight and stuff. It's like representative of how the town will always go on and how the town has always survived, etc., etc. It's a really big symbol to the people of that town. And Joanne is an American Dutch girl. Her mother is Dutch. Her father is American. She grew up mostly in Wisconsin, and she's visiting her grandparents, and her mother is trying to convince the grandparents to come back to America with them until the war is over to stay safe, and the mom is going to go see her husband to arrange it happening, and then the mom dies. So we have a parent death, and Joanne then has to stay in the town with her grandparents, and it gets occupied by Nazis. And one specific Nazi, Lieutenant Braun, ends up staying in their house because a lot of the time Nazis would come into the town and anyone who had an extra room or anything, Nazis would go there and that would be their sleeping quarters and just their quarters. So Lieutenant Braun starts staying in their house, and they are some of the more anti-Nazi people. Like, they're trying to keep their independence from the Nazis, even though the Nazis are there and claiming that they're there for good and blah, typical Nazi spiel. And just how they try to protect the statues from the Nazis, and that's just basically what the movie's about. I have very mixed feelings about this film. I went in hard. I was ready to not enjoy the film. I was ready to not like it because I didn't want it to be an American savior film, because no. And I didn't really want it, I was getting vibes about Lieutenant Braun, and I didn't want it to be like a not all Nazis are bad situation. They really didn't do the whole America is a savior thing, which was nice. Her dad is an American, and when the war is over, she gets reunited with her dad, which is very nice. But it didn't super say, like, I think there were a couple lines about, like, oh, America will be here soon, but it wasn't really like, America's gonna save us, and then America saved us, which was good. They referred to it as, like, the Allies are coming, and then, like, once they said that's an American, you know, bomb ship or whatever. So they kind of didn't really do the America Savior thing. But they kind of did do the not all Nazis are bad thing, and any Nazi's a bad Nazi. Like, no Nazi is a good Nazi. That's how that works. Lieutenant Braun killed so many people on the battlefield in the name of Nazis in the German army. But then, when this little girl wants to save these statues, he helps her and keeps his mouth shut. And then pretends to kill her grandfather, but doesn't really, as like a last attempt to like better his conscience or whatever. And I'm mad because like I took it as partly like not all Nazis were bad, we're all human, whatever, which isn't what it's going for. So I'm mad about that, and I wanted to get that out of the way because I needed you guys to know that I did still enjoy the movie. I cried when he decided to help Joanne put the last statue instead of turning her in, and I cried when he didn't really shoot the grandfather, and I cried when he died. I was emotionally invested in Lieutenant Braun and him deciding to do, you know, the last few good things he can do before he was killed in battle. And I wanted you to know that I'm mad about how they approached it, because it's okay to have conflicting feelings when you're watching something, especially because they did a good job telling the story. And who doesn't want to see someone who is bad changing their mind and becoming good? Who doesn't want to see that? But it still doesn't negate the fact that he was a Nazi. Do we understand? I was invested in the story, but it doesn't negate the fact that he was a Nazi. He dies in the end. He was a Nazi. Like, that's what I want to get across. Hi, it's Editing Jess. I wanted to hop in and say, if he had denounced being a Nazi, like if he had quit, obviously that would be a different kind of growth, and I would have a different opinion. But because he was remaining a Nazi, but just kind of acting out, that's the issue. Okay? Noley and Benedick were excellent in this film. The relationship, obviously she hates him in the beginning. Makes complete sense. She's the daughter of an American and he's a Nazi. So she blatantly hates him, and over the course of the movie, she, you know, can't help her circumstances. She lives with him because she's 12 years old and they have no choice but to let him live in that house. But he doesn't know about this secret little compartment in his closet that is big and like can hide stuff. And when they finally steal these statues, the grandfather who took them gets caught, and they are taking him up to go get the statues, and she starts hiding the statues up in that little compartment, and the statues are big, heavy statues, and she's got to move 6 of them. And the editing through that entire scene, the suspense was extraordinary. And then Lieutenant Braun comes upstairs, and you can hear him coming up the stairs and see him, and she's trying to get this one last statue, but she's so beat. She just carried 5 other statues up into there. She's sweaty, she's bleeding from cutting herself on the statues, and he comes up, and he gets down and sees her doing what she's doing, and he takes her hand and sees the blood all over her hand, and like, I'm getting emotional thinking about it, but he realizes how much these statues mean to her and the town. And he was not really, like, for them taking the statues anyway. He's like, leave the statues. Who cares? Like, they're statues. And, he lifts the statue and puts it in there. And, then just leaves to go downstairs because now the other soldiers, Nazi soldiers, are coming in. And they're gonna search the house, and they start searching the house, and they were like, what's upstairs? And he's like, my quarters, feel free to search, whatever. And they're like, oh, we don't need to, they're your quarters, whatever. And the grandfather and grandmother are so confused because all the statues were in the living room and they're not there anymore. And they're sitting there staring at Joanne, who's just sitting there like beat and like, you know, whatever. And then when they leave, he comes in and she gets up and she offers him her seat. And it was a very powerful like exchange, like him seeing her and helping her, and then her like saying, you're welcome here. It was very powerful, and we love that. I'm emotional. But he was still a Nazi, so like, what? Wow, that was really long. I'm so sorry. And I got emotional? Like, wow. Okay. That's it. That's everything I have for the Little Riders. My final rating is 6 statues out of 10. Our total movie count is. Our parent death toll is. Our cry count is. If you want to keep up with the movie I'm watching when, follow me on Instagram, Twitter. You'll find out what movie I'm watching when. I put up videos every Monday and Friday. And sometimes Wednesday. Join my Patreon. Until the next time, comment, like, subscribe, and I don't know if you are, so you do, and don't be a Nazi. Y'all, I got emotional about that scene. That scene is so powerful. Like, you think, like, you know he's been leaning toward being good, but then he comes up and he catches her, and she's terrified, but also, like, it's like, do what you're gonna do. And he gets down and, like, grabs her hand and sees it's bleeding, and it's like, oh my gosh. And then, like, puts the statue in for her, and she's just like, what is going on? I'm not dying, like, he's not killing me. And then he goes down and pretends like everything's totally fine, and, like, it's so good.